And so here's a couple of challenges. We're big on challenges too. We're big on big prayers, big dreams, big challenges. We're big on those. I want you to pull out your connection card, and on the back that you're going to see there's a couple of challenges. 90 days, we find that 90 days is a good challenge. You may be thinking, you know what, I'm new. This is my first week. I'm kind of freaked out right now. Here's my challenge to you, because I know we have a ton of new people, which is so awesome. I love the small group that we're leading. Basically, everybody has started attending our church in the last 2 months. I think that is so cool. Here's my challenge if you're new. You're like, I'm still trying to check this out. I don't even know if I believe in Jesus. Here's my challenge for you. It's not on there. I made it up today. So you don't get a box. You can write it in. I want you to write it in, though, because I want to hold you accountable to it. My challenge for you, if you're brand new, if you're still checking this out, trying to figure out if Revolution, if Jesus is for you, is to make a commitment for the next 3 months till the end of 2010 to come every week. That's my challenge. That's really the easiest challenge of the night. So if that's my challenge, to come every week, to figure this out. To figure this out. The next one is a prayer challenge. We're big on prayer. We're big on praying big prayers. For us to finish this year strong, for us to reach where we feel God has called us to, the dreams that God has given us. My challenge is I want everybody in our church committing to praying every day for 90 days. And if you check this box, I will send you an email every single week telling you this is what to pray for. This is what to pray for this week. The second one is a serving challenge, or third one. It's a serving challenge. We have 3 dots. If you flip your program over on the back, there's 3 dots. It's in our logo. We talk all the time about 3 dots. 3 things that we want everybody to do at Revolution. The first one is come on Saturday nights. The second one is to be in a small group. And the third one is serving inside and outside of the church. Now, I know a lot of you, you're like, well, I come Saturday night, I got into a small group. Okay, now is the time to get plugged in and take the next step into the third dot and to start serving inside and outside of the church. Here's one of the things that's really cool. All of our small groups do mission projects. We call them Rev Outs. We put Rev in everything we do. So they're called Rev Outs. This year, we'll have done almost 25 Rev Outs around our city, of serving our city. Because this semester, we have 7 small groups. And as we grow, I'm really praying that in January we'll have 12. I think I'm freaking our small group coordinators out, but we'll have 12. But here's what, think about this for a second. In 2011, if we average like 15 small groups in the year, that's 45 times that we will have served our city. Think about that. That we've gone out and cleaned up parks and packed boxes at food banks and handed out water on hot days. Gone and painted at women's shelters. Imagine that. Because it's going to take all of us to go out into the city to make this impact. It's going to take all of us to make this impact here. The last one, it's a 90-day giving challenge. You're probably thinking, I knew we were going to get to the money. Here's what I want to challenge you with. 2 times a year, we do what's called a 90-day giving challenge. And here's what's interesting about all the challenges tonight. If you read the New Testament, you'll find that all these things are stuff that as a follower of Jesus, you're just supposed to do. But twice a year, we do what's called a 90-day giving challenge. And here's the challenge for you. As we look forward to the end of 2010 into 2011, what God is calling us to, the big dreams that we feel God has given us, as God has just continued to just send us new people, continued to bless us, continued to use us, God lays out this challenge in Malachi 3, where he says to the Israelites, he says, you know what? It's time for you to step up in your worship when it comes to your finances. And he lays out a giving challenge to them. And he says, I want you to start giving and see what happens. He says, bring your money into the storehouse, which is the temple, which the easiest translation, it's not literally the church today, but it's the closest translation to it. He says, bring it into the storehouse and see if I won't open up the heavens and bless you. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that if you give God $100, you're going to walk out and find a $100 check in your mailbox tomorrow. That's not what that means. It could happen. I have friends that happens to. That doesn't happen to me, but that could happen. Everybody I know, that seems to happen to them. Here's what that means. This whole series is called The Blessed Life, with the idea of pursuing and getting closer to God, of what God calls the blessed life. And the blessed life is when we are fully engaged and just relying on God. That biggest step of faith and relying on God has to do with our finances. It's easy to pray. It's easy to serve. It's even easy to be in a small group. But it is a huge step to say, God, I'm going to trust you with this, the most closest thing to my heart, my checkbook. And so here's how the 90-day giving challenge happens. If you check this box, we'll follow up with you this week. I'm going to send you a book that I think is going to help you. It has really helped me because let me be totally honest. It took a giving challenge for me to start giving. I know you're thinking, you're a pastor. How could that happen? It took a giving challenge. My wife gave me the giving challenge. We started giving. If you're new, generosity is not one of my spiritual gifts. It's not even on the list for me. But let me be honest with you. Because for a while, as we started Revolution, I had a really hard time talking about money and generosity. But here's what I've learned, is that if you want to see God expand your faith and move in the biggest possible way in your life, it starts with your money. And it starts with your time and how you use it. Katie and I have seen God just open up our faith, just use us, just bless us, use other people to bless us and meet our needs. When we were getting Revolution off the ground, it's funny, I meet a lot of pastors who don't give back to God, which is unbelievable to me, but anyway, I'll have to tell God about it. But when I think about, as we got Revolution off the ground, as we tried to, as our family was growing and just how tight money was, and trying to figure out, do we give back to God? Do we pay this bill? Do we go grocery shopping? Can't afford all of it. And every single time, we have never made a budget that adds up. God just blesses it. And that blessing might be that you just start to see God open up your faith. Because here's what happens. When you write a check and you go, God, I'm not sure how we're going to make it to the end of the month, but I'm trusting you. Do you know what you're going to do every single day, like all day? You're going to pray. A lot. Do you know what happens when you pray a lot? You get closer to God. You start becoming expectant. You start looking for God working in your life. You start looking for how God's working around the world. You start looking to see, oh, okay, is it over here? Is it right? You start looking because you are expectant. And so here's the deal. You do the 90-day giving challenge. You say, you know what, I've never really given, or I've just, I've given a little bit, but I've never taken the step where I've given, the full tithe to God. Full tithe, this is what we believe about the full tithe. A lot of people say that the full tithe is 10%. That's really not in the Bible. In the New Testament, what the full tithe is what is generous, worshipful, and sacrificial. We started at 10%. That was an easy round number for us. I went to public school. I'm not good at math, so we did 10%, and that's what worked for us. But if you say, you know what, I've never really given that much to God, make that commitment for 90 days. At the end of 90 days, you go, you know what, that was stupid. I didn't really see God move in my life. We'll give it all back to you. I won't ask you any questions. Do you know, we've done it 4 times. I always get asked this. We've done it 4 times, never had anybody ask for it back. 4 times. And you may say, well, I'm doing all those things, Josh, so where's my challenge? I have one for you. You don't get left out. Here's the challenge for you, to step up your game, to step it up. As Katie and I talked this week, and we just said, what is it that we can step up in our lives? How do we step up? As we're, just like everyone else, having life bills we're adopting right now, which we're raising money for. And so we said, okay, the way we're going to step up is we're going to take this commitment of prayer, but we're also going to increase what we're giving back to God. Because we believe in the mission. We believe that God just wants to move. And we believe it's going to take all of us. And so we said, okay, we're going to up what we're giving back to God, because that's the challenge I want to lay out to you. I don't like to give out challenges without taking a challenge. And I don't say that because I don't say that because I want you to be like, wow, our pastor is so spiritual. No, I say that because here's the deal for our leaders. This week I challenged all our leaders to up their game, whether it's prayer, serving, inviting people to church, giving back to God. I said, I want you to up your game because the leaders go first.